The decision that we make oftentimes ends the negotiation. It's not the behavior that can wear us down. It's the negotiation around it. And when we can avoid the negotiation, when we can just take it off the table, things get easier. They do. They certainly simplify. They get a whole lot more simple. My name is Brian Panuzzo. I am a former bond trader turned executive health and performance coach. I help you build systems in your life that you can actually live with. I know your world as a financial professional from the inside because I lived it for 20 years. Your career runs on systems. Your life outside the office should too. Welcome back to the show. This is the Success Lift podcast. I am your host, Brian. I'm so glad you're back with me. It actually is April this time. Last week, if some of you caught it, I started talking about it being April for the first few minutes of the podcast and caught myself about halfway in and realized that it was March 30th or 29th when the recording dropped last week. And many of you may have waited until April to listen to it, but for those of you who are my go-getters on Monday morning who listened to it on the 30th, I appreciate you and I'm sorry. And so officially now we are in April. That means we're in the second quarter of 2026. And as I remind clients, as I remind people on my email list on a regular basis, when the calendar turns, these moments come and they go, and I'm snapping my fingers, and we will be at the end of the summer soon. And I know we just got through the first couple months and we just got through the holidays. And we're not even at Memorial Day, so what the heck are you talking about the end of the summer for, Brian? Well, it'll be here. It'll be here soon. Labor Day will be here soon. Halloween will be here soon. The worst holiday on the calendar, Thanksgiving, the Christmas season, the holiday season in the winter will be here soon, and it'll be 2027. So what are you doing with yourself right now? If you are not where you want to be and you want to close the gap, as we talked about last week, from where you are right now to who you are capable of becoming, and you are capable of becoming anything, anyone that you want to be. It already lives inside of you. And you just need to make a decision in order to go to the next level. And this concept of a decision is what I wanted to talk a little bit about today. I've recently made some decisions in my life about some micro habits. Some of them are big deals, others are whatever. But they've been big staples in my life over the last couple years, and they've crept up on me. Some of these habits that don't serve us creep up on us. We don't just decide one day to start what is potentially a destructive habit. And when I say destructive, I'm not talking about, shooting yourself up with needles. That's pretty clear. I'm talking about some of the things that we do that we start for a particular reason, and it starts out as a very low grade habit, and all of a sudden we pick our head up, we take our blinders off 2 years later, and we're probably doing more of it than we're supposed to be doing if we're honest with ourselves. And a couple things that I realized recently, I've talked about last week, in prior weeks, that my sleep is pretty terrible. Pretty terrible. Now, I will have an asterisk to place an asterisk next to that. It is improving. It is improving because of some of the things that I'm doing, some of the supplements that I'm taking. AGZ, by the way, a little plug for AG1 and AGZ, a long time greens drink that I've been taking. AGZ has been helping a lot. I know I talk about it on the podcast occasionally, and this is not an official plug, but I guess it is because they do sponsor the podcast with me. It's been really helping me a lot. More importantly, honestly, let's be honest, supplements are not going to just fix your problems. Some of the foundational things that I've been doing differently has been helping. And I'll talk a little bit about that stuff. But where I wanted to go with this talk into a camera in an empty room with a bunch of lights in my face for you this week is this concept behind 100% being easier than 99% or 90%. All right. And it may sound counterintuitive because being completely 100% all in means that you can't negotiate, right? You can't have some of these moments that I'm such a huge proponent of, balance, rhythm in your life. I think there's aspects of 100% all in, burn the boats that is not sustainable. Now, when I say they're not sustainable, I'm talking about typically from the perspective of like, you don't have to eat chicken and rice every single meal for the rest of your life in order to get epic results. But if I'm also being honest, there are certain things that I don't need to do ever because they don't serve a purpose in my life. And one of the things that I have done recently is I've decided to collapse the cognitive load, I guess, in a fancy way. And what that means is I've decided to stop taking the brain power that I'm using in order to negotiate with myself in certain situations. And so I'm beating around the bush. Let me get tactical with you guys. Tactical, okay? 2 years ago, I decided that I was going to start chewing nicotine gum. I was going to start nicotine because for a couple reasons. One, I was entering into a fairly aggressive fat loss phase and I was looking for ways to help curb my appetite. Now, chewing gum can help because you're doing something with your mouth, okay? There's that minty feeling in your mouth. I don't know about you, but I don't really want to put food in my mouth when there's like this wintergreen or spearmint flavor going on. Nicotine can also be an appetite suppressor as well. There are some potential. Now, I'm going to call myself out here. I took these potential benefits and I ran with them like they were like these proven benefits. There are some potential benefits to cognition when it comes to like neuroprotective stuff with nicotine, i.e. maybe down the line with low grade use, nicotine can help offset think like dementia or any neurological situations. Now, this is like, from my understanding, and I am not an expert, very, very preliminary and not necessarily proven research, but it's out there. I found that I looked around, and of course, I was looking for benefits of nicotine use, so that's what I found. As soon as I saw that headline, I was like, there we go, I'm in. All right, now, a little bit of backstory. My mom passed away of a neurological disease. She died of ALS. I don't sleep well. Years and years of sleep debt can take its toll on the brain and ultimately contribute to some neurological issues later in life. And so, yes, I have laid in bed at 1:30 in the morning, unable to sleep, basically talking myself into Parkinson's disease. And so, not a great place to be at 1:30 in the morning, not able to sleep with a neurological disease in 25 years. Okay, that's where I've gone. And so I thought, well, maybe since, I am struggling anyway, this could be helpful for me. And I can chew it because it's also great for focus. And I can put a piece of gum in and I can just get my ass to work and I can focus. This is the story that I spun myself. And to some degree, I was correct. And so I started chewing like a half a piece of 2 milligrams of nicotine on, 2 to 3 times a day. Okay. Now, fast forward 2 years later, year and a half later, to be fair. All right. As of, this is now 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago. I wanted to get more, through longer than like 2 to 3 weeks before I started talking about this. I'm chewing, 12 pieces a day. Like sometimes back to back, sometimes just to like get the hit of the initial hit of the first piece of gum, throw it away when it loses its flavor a little bit, then like let the other one just sit in there. I'm still not sleeping well. So it's certainly not helping me with my sleep. I'm probably still on the same cognitive decline if sleep is affecting, me negatively. I'm not in a fat loss phase right? The fat loss phase was like, I don't know, like 4 months or 3 months or something like that. I went into muscle building phases. I chewed gum. I went back into a fat loss phase. I'm in maintenance. I'm just chewing gum, right? I'm chewing it during random times of the day that I don't really need them. And I found myself in this cycle of like really poor sleep. I would wake up, I would caffeinate early. I would start chewing nicotine gum early. I started drinking Coke Zero as well. And again, 0-calorie beverage. For all of you who are going to freak out, I can't believe you drink Coke Zero, Brian. All the chemicals that are in there. Relax, people. You need to drink probably about 215 of them a day in order to get the chemicals that they give to rats that show the effects on rats. Is one Coke Zero worse than zero? Yeah, I guess so. Is one Diet Coke, is 0 Diet Cokes better than one? I guess so. But like, what are we talking about here? We're talking about like the poison's in the dose, okay? And we can drink too much water and it'll kill us. And everybody who usually rails on me about Diet Coke or Coke Zero is like coming off of like a 6 martini weekend. So chill out, all right? And look at yourself in the mirror. But what I was doing with the Coke Zero was I was starting to have 1 to 2 a day. Then I was having them at dinner every night. And we were having dinner at like 7:15 because my kids are getting older and the schedules are starting to drag out a little bit. And I found myself in this cycle of like being exhausted by 8 p.m. and going to bed, like falling asleep at 8 p.m., waking up at like 2 a.m., starting to drink coffee at like 3:30, 3 a.m., like chewing nicotine gum, having 1 to 2 Coke Zeros, having a Coke Zero like literally 45 minutes before I went to bed. Now, there isn't a crazy amount of caffeine in a Coke Zero, but there's 34 milligrams, right? Nicotine is not supportive for, high quality sleep. It's maybe not potentially detrimental, but it's certainly not supportive. And I'm chewing gum right after I finish dinner to cleanse my palate. And so I got in this cycle of like, what am I doing? I'm supposed to be somebody that people look to for help with this stuff. And I found myself in a tough spot. And so immediately what I did was what I do best. I'm like, I got to make some changes. I got to start to, fix some things. And so I implemented, I kind of did a little research on my own, and I implemented a few different protocols for myself. One was no nicotine gum and no Coke Zero in the evening. All right, in the evening. The evening is a loose term, right? When's the evening start? When's the late afternoon end and the evening start? And I realized that pretty quick that I just started negotiating with myself. And so I then put, a little bit more firm guidelines in. No nicotine after 3 p.m., no Coke Zero after lunch, okay? Now that also can be a little bit squishy in terms of the timing, but that's pretty firm. And then it would be 3:27, and I'd be like, I just wanted that one more piece. I could just have that one more piece right now. It's 3:27, And one day lunch didn't start until 2:45 because I was snacking most of the day, and that was my pocket for lunch. Well, can I still have it? It's not really lunchtime. I don't know. And so I decided to get a little bit more clear with myself, all right? And I decided to in a fancy way, collapse the cognitive load, all right? And so I just said to myself, like, do I need nicotine anymore? I don't think so. So I'm gonna make a decision to just cut it out, throw it away. And I took the 7 or 8 packs that I had and I threw it away. And then I realized that I had some in my car, so I went out to my car and I threw it away. And I stopped. And it was okay. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it was like, a breeze. But I'm also not going to sit here and tell you that it was that hard because I decided that I was going to stop something and I was going to change the behavior. And then 2 days later, I'm at the golf simulator and I open up my bag and there's like 5 pieces of nicotine gum because I had nicotine gum spread out everywhere. Of course I did. I'd always need to have some in my backpack, in the car, in the bedroom, in the nightstand, in my desk drawer that I'm sitting at right now, in the living room area where I occasionally work because I work either in my office or in like the living room area and our big, kitchen / dining room table. So I had these things everywhere. So they were all over the place. There may still be a piece or two somewhere in my house that I'm not aware of, but I'm pretty sure they're gone. And so I found them in my golf bag. Right there in the moment, I negotiated. Should I just have one? I just had Chipotle. Or actually I was going to Chipotle. Like I used to love to have one right after Chipotle. It's like, maybe I should just have one. And I threw the 5 or 6 pieces away, kept one, put it in my pocket. And as I was walking out, I'm like, what am I doing? This is not I'm not a man of integrity if I do this. And one more piece, what's one more piece gonna do? So I decided to throw that one away. And I tell you this because I thought it was gonna be hard, I thought it was gonna be hard. I thought that running at 90 or 99% would be easier than running at 100 all in. And what I realized was it hasn't been. I realize that every time I'm at 99%, my brain's still running a negotiation. Am I going to do this today? When am I going to do it? Do I have the opportunity to? Am I allowed to? Is today the exception, right? What are the rules? What are my rules? Can I bend my rules? That shit's exhausting. That is exhausting. Pretending that I used to be someone, having these different aspects of my life was exhausting. Not being 100% honest with my wife was exhausting. Hiding money different places was exhausting. Telling her I was going to be home and going somewhere else, so then making up a story about where I was, and I wasn't that bad, but I just didn't want her to know. It was exhausting. The decision that we make oftentimes ends the negotiation. It's not the behavior that can wear us down. It's the negotiation around it. And when we can avoid the negotiation, when we can just take it off the table, things get easier. They do. They certainly simplify. They get a whole lot more simple. Now, whether or not you're going to have a physiological response to some of the things that you may be thinking about ending, like a habit, like a destructive habit, I'm not here to tell you that it's going to be easy. It may be hard. I was very surprised about my, reaction to the nicotine gum. Maybe I was chewing Fugazi gum. I don't know. Or maybe because it was 2 milligrams, or maybe because it was, only 2, or it was gum. Maybe I was just doing some weak ass shit. I don't know. Maybe. All right. So nicotine, and here's the thing. Why I brought up the Coke Zero too is because nicotine's kind of easy. I mean, although it's having its moment, the frame I think is pretty easy to understand. Nicotine doesn't really have a place in my life, so I had to quit it, right? But I brought up the Coke Zero part because that one can be a slippery slope. This one's what I would call a lifestyle optimization for me. All right, nobody forced me to no. Let me back up a little bit. I was feeling pressure from my wife to quit nicotine. She did not like my habit, not at all. So it was helpful for me. My wife doesn't love that I drink Coke Zero, but I wasn't getting that much pushback on that. And so when I started to think about what's easy to do, why should I do it? Nobody forced me on the diet soda, on the artificial sweetener soda idea. I just believed that was going to be a better result for me, a better habit for me to practice on a regular basis. Or there was no external pressure there. There was external pressure for me from my wife. And so there's some of these things that you might want to be thinking about. You may not be getting pressure from anybody in your life because maybe they don't even know what you're doing. But is it serving you? And I don't want you to just think about you just have to decide. As soon as you decide, everything is easy. It's not. It's not easy. You're still going to run into friction. All right? This works for habits. This works for micro little decisions, but what if you're talking about what if you're now pivoting to a career decision or a decision about a relationship, Does this principle of just making a choice, does it scale for you? I think it does. I think it helps because it takes away that drain of the perpetual reconsideration that we have. Could I do it this way? Could I do it this way? What about this way? That shit's draining, man. That's why some of the programs that I do, I don't want to say rail on, but I do take shots at every once in a while, like a 75 hard. For those of you who don't know what it is, it's a program run by the creator of First Form, who's a sponsor of the show as well. He came up with this program that has you work out twice a day. One of them has to be outside, 2 45-minute workouts, and one could just be like a 45-minute outdoor walk. You got to stick to a diet. You can't cheat. You got to take a progress pick every day. You got to drink a gallon of water. You got to read like 10 pages of a personal development book, and maybe there's a couple other things. I'm not sure. But like the 2 workouts a day for 45 minutes is tough because like I can think to a time about a week ago where I might not have been able to get that done. And why a program like that is powerful is because it's like it takes away all options. And that's where this concept of deciding, I think, is really powerful. Because we're all capable of it. We're all capable of it. And when we don't have the daily friction and that energy drain, we're able to focus in on like, well, what is required? What do I need to do? What's next? Bring the next thing. What's next? So many people, even inside my program, I have to catch their language. I'm like the language police. I'm going to work on it, right? Thinking about it. I should be doing this. What are we talking about? That's not language of an elite performer. Michael Jordan never tried to do something. Kobe Bryant never said, I'm going to go work on this. They decided they were going to get it done and complete it and be successful at it. Now, work on this can take a connotation of like, I'm going to go work on my game. Yeah, of course, that does make sense to me. But like, I just think like, I think you guys, and when I say you guys, I mean me too. I think we're, as human beings, especially as financial professionals and adults and husbands and fathers, I think we're riddled in our life with these like half decisions. And I think they like slowly like bleed us dry. And every Monday it's another story for ourselves, right? I mean, it's not because you're lazy. Like you do actually commit. You commit for periods of time. For the last 4 or 5 years, you've committed for several months of the year, for 10 days at a time, for 4 days at a time, for 4 months at a time sometimes. But the daily or the weekly or the monthly or the quarterly or whatever it is for you, the redecision, that shit's exhausting, man. That is exhausting. And so a long time ago, I decided that I was going to live my life a different way. And I wasn't even sure what that looked like, but I was very sure of the person who I wanted to become. I kind of started to figure it out along the way. I have a much clearer picture of now what it takes to do what I've done, to completely transform my body and my mind and my marriage. I can now lay that out in a schedule for somebody. Welcome to my program. But when I first started doing it, I didn't know. I didn't know at all. But I did know, and I was clear, that I wanted something more. And I hadn't previously been committed to that. I'd been a dabbler. I'd been a part-timer. I was part-timing all of this. And that part-time work is more exhausting than being a full-time employee. Everything has a cost. I know you know this. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. I learned that on day 1, freshman year at St. Michael's College from economics class. There ain't no such thing as a free lunch. So a decision has a cost. I had a cost. I still pay a cost. I finish my coffee every morning and I look behind me to see if there's any gum on the bookshelf or on the, whatever you call that, the wall, the built-in that's in our like living room, dining room, where all like the pictures and my wife puts up. I put all my stuff there. She yells at me. She takes it off. Then I put it up. Then I like strategically start to put it back. Guess what was the first thing that would go back? The gum. Because I'd bring a pack of gum in from the desk in the office when I was working in there. And as soon as I'm done with my coffee, I would go grab a piece of gum. So every morning I'm a month in right now, I still turn around and look back. I'm like, damn, wish I had a piece of nicotine gum right now. I love that piece of gum. That first piece of gum right after my coffee in the morning at like 5:30, 6 in the morning, hell yeah. Go jump out, get a walk in with the dog. Gum is usually like kind of wearing off like halfway through, spit it out somewhere, chill out, not where you're gonna like step on it, get it on your sneaker, like into the bushes. By the time the walk's over, I'm like kind of ready for another cup of coffee, more coffee, another piece of gum. Let's go, ready. I miss those. Those haven't left me. So it has a cost. My decision had a cost, right? But what I'm not paying right now is the recurring costs of, I'm still working on my sleep, but it's getting better. It's really getting better. And maybe decisions that you make will eliminate these recurring costs look, starting over every Monday, that's an exhausting cost. Starting over every January 1st, please, give me a break, right? Starting over after every business trip, after every tough season. We're in a real tough season right now for all people, but especially people involved in the financial markets. Letting it all go for the last 3 weeks and then being like coming out of the hole when, the war's over, the straits open up, market starts to rip again. Things just slow down a little bit, like starting over again and not having at least a set of standards that you can fall to during the last month. That's what's happening for most of my clients. Make no mistake, the performance of the people that I work with over the last 30 days has suffered. Not for everyone. Some guys are crushing it, but for most guys, it's suffered. But they've fallen to a new bar that's higher, a new standard. So for those of you who are not on video right now, I'm taking my hands, I'm moving them around. I'm moving, if both your hands are together, fingers are pointing towards each other, and take one of them and just move the bar up, right? We're elevating our basement floor so that the next time the water comes in and rises from the ground, it doesn't flood because our home is at another level. And that's what they're falling to. So they're now falling to higher levels. Think about a very healthy looking asset price chart. Just think of a stock chart, I guess. Right? Higher highs, higher lows. That's what we want our lives outside the office to be in all areas. I want my marriage to have higher highs and higher lows. Am I dumb enough to think that my marriage is just going to be one rocket ship higher? No. What are you talking about? Right now, at the time that I'm recording this, my wife and I are kind of annoyed at each other. But our lows are much higher than they used to be. Our lows were a freaking disaster. Our highs are way higher than they ever have been. And that's what happens with your performance, your mental performance, your physical performance. We constantly want to be moving forward, higher, maybe if it's a weight chart, lower, right? You want your scale weight, if you need to lose 75 pounds, to look like a stock that you should be shorting at every chance you get. Because it's never going to go straight down in a line. Because anything that goes straight down, as we know, rebounds pretty fiercely. What we want is, we want a chart that's moving up and down, up and down, up and down, but slowly from the upper left to the lower right, which I'm doing right now with my fingers for those of you not on YouTube. If we zoom out enough, we want to see that progress over time. So I hope that you take away from this episode that you don't need to quit nicotine, you don't need to stop drinking Diet Coke or move your Diet Cokes up, or don't drink coffee so early in the morning, it's another change I made, or start journaling more, putting your phone on airplane mode earlier. I didn't even take you through the entire sleep protocol that I set up for myself. The other thing I did was I started getting accountable to a group of people. Guess who those people are? People who pay me to hold them accountable. I'm using their asses for free. They don't even realize it. They're paying me and I'm getting benefits out of them because I don't want to let them down. And so each Sunday I report on my progress, on the things I said I was going to do. And it's not just every week. I kind of check in throughout the week and I let them know, hey, performance here has been slacking. I'm going to pick this up. Or I feel like I got this. I can either stop reporting on it because we don't need to report on the same things over and over and over again, or I can add to it now. I'm now capable of handling more. And so inside of programs like mine, we earn the right to do more. We earn it. We don't just throw 57 things at you and hope that 12 of them stick. We try to go 6 for 8. Shoot. Try to go 2 for 3 to start, 3 for 4, maybe 3 for 3. I don't know. Let's add 2 more. Let's focus on a few more things. All of a sudden now, 4 months in, now we're talking. Instead of trying to go from 0 to 100 without ever doing 50, 60, 70, 80. It's how we pull a hammy, figuratively and literally. If this episode helped you, please share it with somebody. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you being a part of this journey for me for 300 plus episodes for the first quarter. For the first time, if this is your first time, share it with someone. If you haven't rated or reviewed the podcast in a while, please go do that on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Thank you so much. I'll see you back here again next week.